You're not aware of it, but your brain is being systematically hijacked right now. That mental fog, those memory gaps, your inability to focus, it's not aging or stress. Scientists have discovered tech companies are using addiction specialists to steal your cognitive capacity. Here's the research-backed recovery protocol. Let's be honest about something that's happening right now as you're watching this video. You probably picked up your phone at least 3 times in the last hour without even realizing it. Maybe you have multiple tabs open right now. Maybe you started watching this while doing something else entirely. Here's what the research actually tells us, and it's not what the tech companies want you to know. A study from UC Irvine found that it takes an average of 23 minutes and 15 seconds to refocus completely after an interruption. But here's the kicker. Most of us are interrupted every 11 minutes during our workday. Do the math. We're never actually focused. The average smartphone user receives 80 notifications per day and checks their device 96 times daily. That's once every 10 minutes during waking hours. But this isn't about shaming you for using technology. This is about understanding what's actually happening to our brains when we live this way. Neuroscientist Dr. Adam Gonzalez. Research shows that our brains haven't evolved to handle the constant task switching that modern technology demands. We're essentially asking our 200,000-year-old hardware to run software it was never designed for. And the results are measurable. Decreased working memory, impaired cognitive flexibility, and what researchers call continuous partial attention, never being fully present for anything. This isn't just about productivity. This is about the quality of our lives, our relationships, and our ability to think deeply about the things that matter most. Remember what you had for lunch 3 days ago? Can't do it? It's not normal aging or being busy. That's what Dr. Merzenich at UCSF calls brain fog, a direct result of how we're reprocessing information in the digital age. Here's what's actually happening in your brain when you're constantly switching between apps, notifications, and digital stimuli. Your hippocampus, the brain region responsible for forming long-term memories, requires sustained, focused attention to properly encode experiences. Think of it like a librarian who needs quiet time to properly file away each book. But when you're constantly interrupted, that librarian never gets the chance to do their job. Research from Stanford shows that heavy multitaskers have difficulty filtering out irrelevant information, can't manage working memory effectively, and are chronically distracted even when they're not multitasking. Dr. Larry Rosen's studies reveal that college students can only focus for an average of 19 seconds before checking their phone or switching tasks. But here's the part that should really concern you. Each time you recall a memory while distracted, say, thinking about your day while scrolling through social media, you're not just remembering it, you're rewriting it. The neuroplasticity research shows that memories become malleable when recalled. And the new version that gets stored is influenced by whatever else is happening in your brain at that moment. We're not just failing to form new memories properly, we're corrupting the ones we already have. Your life story, your sense of identity, your understanding of who you are. It's all based on memories that may be increasingly unreliable. Social media platforms employ teams of neuroscientists, behavioral economists, and addiction specialists. Their job isn't to inform or entertain you. Their job is to capture and monetize your attention. They're incredibly good at it. The techniques they use aren't accidental. Variable ratio reinforcement schedules, the same psychological principle that makes slot machines addictive, are built into every major platform. Sometimes you get a dopamine hit from your feed, sometimes you don't. This unpredictability is precisely what makes it so hard to stop scrolling. Dr. Anna Lemgich's research on digital addiction shows that these platforms exploit our brain's reward system in the same way that substances do. The constant anticipation of reward triggers dopamine release, but over time, you need more stimulation to get the same effect. Meanwhile, your baseline dopamine levels drop, making normal activities feel less rewarding. Tristan Harris, former Google design ethicist, revealed that tech companies use sophisticated persuasion techniques based on decades of research in behavioral psychology. They know when you're most vulnerable to persuasion, they track your emotional states through your usage patterns. And they serve content designed to keep you in whatever emotional state generates the most engagement. Feeling angry? Here's content to make you angrier. Anxious? Here's something to spike your cortisol. Lonely? Here's a parasocial relationship that will never quite fulfill you, but will keep you coming back for more. You think you're choosing what you see, but you're being fed a carefully curated diet of psychological triggers designed to maximize engagement, time, and advertising revenue. The research on what chronic digital overstimulation does to our brains is sobering. Dr. Michael Posner's attention studies show that heavy media multitaskers have reduced density in the anterior cingulate cortex, the brain region responsible for cognitive and emotional control. Brain imaging studies reveal that excessive screen time, particularly during childhood and adolescence, is associated with changes in brain structure similar to those seen in substance addiction. The developing brain is especially vulnerable, which explains why we're seeing unprecedented levels of anxiety and depression in young people who grew up with smartphones. But adults aren't immune. Dr. Gloria Mark's research at UC Irvine found that people who are frequently interrupted experience higher stress levels, make more errors, and report greater frustration and time pressure. Chronic stress from digital overwhelm leads to elevated cortisol levels, which impairs memory formation, weakens immune function, and contributes to anxiety and depression. The always-on culture enabled by smartphones has eliminated what psychologists call restorative downtime, periods when our brains can consolidate memories, process emotions, and engage in what neuroscientists call the default mode network. This network is active when we're not focused on a specific task, and it's crucial for creativity, self-reflection, and mental health. When we eliminate boredom, we eliminate the mental space where insight and creativity emerge. We're not just losing our ability to focus, we're losing our ability to think originally. Here's the encouraging news that the attention economy doesn't want you to know. Neuroplasticity research shows that the brain changes caused by digital overwhelm are largely reversible. Dr. Judson Brewer's studies on mindfulness and attention training demonstrate that focused practice can rebuild cognitive control networks in as little as 8 weeks. The key is understanding what actually works versus what just feels productive. Dr. Cal Newport's research on deep work shows that the ability to focus without distraction on cognitively demanding tasks is becoming increasingly rare and increasingly valuable. People who maintain this ability consistently outperform their peers and report higher levels of satisfaction and well-being. But rebuilding sustained attention isn't about willpower or time management tricks. It's about understanding how attention works at a neurological level. Dr. Amishi Jaya's research with military personnel shows that attention is like a muscle. It can be strengthened through specific training, but it also becomes fatigued when overused. The most effective interventions combine several evidence-based approaches: mindfulness meditation to improve metacognitive awareness, the deliberate practice of sustained attention tasks, environmental design to reduce digital distractions, and what researchers call cognitive hygiene, being as careful about what you put in your mind as what you put in your body. Studies show that even small changes can have significant effects. Reducing smartphone checks from 96 to 50 times per day led to measurable improvements in working memory and cognitive flexibility in just 1 week. Based on the research, here's what actually works for recovering cognitive control in our hyper-connected world. This isn't about going off-grid or rejecting technology entirely. It's about using technology intentionally rather than being used by it. First, implement what Dr. Sophie Leroy calls attention residue management. When you switch between tasks, part of your attention remains stuck on the previous task. The solution is creating clear transitions and dedicated time blocks for different activities. Research shows that single tasking, even for short periods, significantly improves both performance and well-being. Second, practice what neuroscientist Dr. Wenzel calls cognitive load management. Your brain has limited processing capacity, and every notification, every open browser tab, every visible app icon consumes some of that capacity. Dr. Sherry Turkle's research shows that even having a smartphone visible during conversation reduces the quality of that interaction. Third, leverage what psychologists call implementation intentions. If then planning that automates good decisions, instead of relying on willpower, create systems. Research shows that people who use specific strategies, like if it's after 9 p.m., then my phone goes in another room, are significantly more successful at maintaining digital boundaries. Fourth, understand the research on digital Sabbaths and attention restoration. Studies show that regular periods of disconnection, even just 2 hours on weekends, lead to improvements in mood, sleep quality, and cognitive performance that persist throughout the week. The goal isn't to become a digital monk. The goal is to become intentional about when and how you engage with technology so that it serves your goals rather than hijacking them. The research is clear. We're in the middle of a massive, uncontrolled experiment on human consciousness, and the results aren't encouraging. But unlike many problems we face, this one is largely within our individual control once we understand what's happening. Dr. Sean Green's research on cognitive training shows that small, consistent changes compound over time. The people who successfully reclaim their attention don't do anything dramatic. They make incremental adjustments based on scientific evidence rather than willpower or motivation alone. Start with measurement. For 3 days, track how often you check your phone without a specific purpose. Set an hourly timer and note where your attention was when it goes off. Awareness precedes change, and most people are shocked to discover how fragmented their attention actually is. Then implement one evidence-based change per week. Week 1. Create physical boundaries between you and your devices during specific times. Week 2. Practice the 10-10-10 rule. Before checking your phone, pause for 10 seconds. And ask if what you're about to do will matter in 10 minutes, 10 months, or 10 years. The research consistently shows that people who take control of their relationship with technology report higher levels of life satisfaction, better relationships, improved work performance, and what psychologists call authentic living. The sense that your actions align with your values rather than being driven by external stimuli. Your attention is not just a personal resource. In a democracy, in a family, in any human relationship, your ability to be present and think clearly affects everyone around you. When you reclaim your cognitive capacity, you're not just improving your own life. You're modeling what's possible for others. If this resonates with you, subscribe and hit the notification bell. Ironically, one notification you actually want. Share this with someone who's been struggling with digital overwhelm. It's not because misery loves company, but because awareness is the first step toward change. The attention economy profits from your distraction. Your flourishing depends on your focus. The science shows it's possible to have both technology and sustained attention. The question is whether you're ready to be intentional about which one you prioritize when they come into conflict.